Welcome everybody to ESC Fan TV. This is your final show of Eurovision 2021. Just like to say, before we get started, what an absolute pleasure it's been on this ride across Eurovision 2021 land with you, our viewers, and our exceptional panel. It's been so much fun. And here we are at the very, very end of it all, ready to take a wee little break. But before we do that, tonight we've got an hour of fantastic content. So don't go anywhere. Click that like button. If you haven't already, this is new. Really sorry it's your last show, but click subscribe and we'll be back with you next season. Tom.
Hey,
how
Steve.
are you, my friend?
Are we going to go honest or are we going to go enthusiastic? If we're going to go for enthusiastic, I'm great because it was a fantastic contest. If we're going to go for honest, I'm hungover. It was a fantastic contest.
You're burning the candle at far too many ends, Tom, clearly.
Evidently so. But do you know what? It was a once in a 2-year opportunity. There we go.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely fantastic contest. That's a contest like no other.
Guys, in the chat room tonight, you've got both of us. You get 2 for the price of 1. Me and Tom will be in the chat room. Keep chatting with us, you chatters. And we've got a fantastic panel. Who have we got on our tonight's panel? We've got all the way from Scotland. We've got Ian and Donna. Say hi, guys. There we go. A nice little wave. We've got Elliot. We've got Gustav from Sweden. From London, we have Andy. I knew that was coming. I knew it. I just knew it. I know him so well. He's so bloody obvious, isn't he? What a wonderful guy he is too. Thank you for being on the show, Andy. Great to see you as always. From Sweden, we have Jeanette.
Hi.
From Cyprus, although he may have frozen, we have Marius. Yes, he's frozen. From Belgium, we have Elena. And we couldn't do this without everyone's favorite couple, the golden couple of ESC Fan TV. It is Phil and Michelle.
Hello.
So tonight we are going to reflect on what a wonderful contest it was last night. Possibly the greatest ever Eurovision Song Contest. And we're going to guide you through some of the things that happened. We want your opinions. So you in the chat room, please send through your comments and we'll put them up on screen. Over to you, Tom.
Yeah, well, let's not go easy on the panel and let's go in straight away with perhaps one of the most obvious questions coming out from this, because poor old United Kingdom. We thought 11 points for Michael Rice was bad, but I tell you what, Michael Rice's score was bigger. The UK got the dreaded nul point from both the public vote and the televote. And so the question to the panel is, and I'm going to go straight to Ian and Donna with this one, what now for the UK?
It's a good question, isn't it?
It's a very good question.
They need to get away from sending stuff that is just decent or good. We've got 3 minutes to get people's attention, and it's got to grab it. That's exactly what Italy managed to do, and they won. It's that bit. You have 3 minutes. You don't have time for us to fans to listen in advance. It's got to grab people. You can send a good song with a decent singer, with nice staging, and this is what happens because James was good. His song was good, but it doesn't have the grab, and that's what we need to fix.
No, that's it. I mean, certainly our winner this year, Måneskin, whether you love them or hate them, they grabbed your attention. The energy was there, and they filled that very large stage. And that's something that James just couldn't do this year, even though he gave his best performance on Saturday. So who knows, really? It's a tough one that we've been struggling to answer for many years. Let's hope they can come up with something that will really be that attention-grabbing powerhouse that I think we need to just sort of knock everybody over and go, wow, that was amazing.
Interesting stuff there. Phil and Michelle, do you agree with that take on it?
Yeah, I think I do. I think we need to stop trying to write a Eurovision song and just write a song, a good song, and take a risk. You know, don't try and do something safe that sounds Eurovision-y. Just send a song and try and get something a bit different to what you're expecting other people to do. And also, I think we need to take a bit more advantage of the staging, especially the LED screens. We never seem to do anything really with them, just put a few swirly patterns on. You look at some of the other acts last night rather, and they were really using that screen, you know. Even Ukraine, when they had all the staging around them, the screen was still a big part of it.
I don't know. I don't know. I just like listening to it. I don't know how to fix it.
Oh, well, I think the BBC have, need to look to, if we look at RAI for Italy, I think they are a great example of how a Big Five country can actually do Eurovision and do it well. One thing that occurred to me, obviously, Italy's victory has occurred 10 years. It's their 10th anniversary of their return to the contest. And what better way to celebrate it? Jeanette, I mean, obviously, you have worked in, various circles when it comes to Eurovision, and you've got the knowledge of Sweden and the UK. Is there more the UK can do?
Yes. Where should I start? It wasn't really a surprise that this happened. Of course, it's dreadful that you get 2 null points. Not good at all. But seriously, if you look at it, there was not much that was like boosting energy. The staging was dreadful. Just having 2 large trumpets doesn't mean it's going to do like, whoa, this is really new and fresh. And yeah, we're going to win due to this. No. Dreadful. Outfit. No. I don't know how he agreed to put the clothes on. No. And the song, average at best. We just have to scratch everything and start from the beginning. And yes, I have a rant going on right now. And because UK is an amazing country and you can do so much, I think you should just incorporate some of our Melodifestivalen, start over, maybe not as large as Melodifestivalen because that's like 6-7 weeks. Do 2 or 3 weeks, let the people have a say in it, and maybe bring people from other countries and have their opinion, because we all have different taste, and have a mix of it, because it's not working. I'm sorry. And it didn't work for Sweden either. And it also was an average song, mainstream.
Very true, very true. Now, in the private chat, Elliot said, not a rant, he promises. Go on, Elliot. Yeah, he will have to take himself off mute, though. That's the really interesting point.
That was Stuart there, because I saw his face smirk as soon as the light came up.
Oh, no,
I saw it.
I just think, after a whole season of shows, just... Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, it's evident what we need to do. Take a risk to stand out. Don't be afraid to upset and polarize people with our song. The 2 most polarizing songs this year were the top 2 in the televote with Italy and Ukraine. It's simple. Fans were saying Ukraine was not going to qualify. Some of my friends hated it because it sounded like noise. It did well. Italy, polarizing category, did well. Finland won their televote in the semi-final because it's polarizing. Take a risk. Stop trying to please everyone, because then everyone just goes, oh, that's nice. And then you get 12th. You get the same if you score 12th or 26th in a public vote. You need to do something to stand out and make that top 10.
All right. Now, I know Stuart and Andy are ready and waiting in the wings to speak on this topic as well, but we're going to add to our UK conundrum, because also, let's face it, it wasn't just the United Kingdom that didn't have any love coming from the televote last night. It was a bit farcical, wasn't it? The bottom 4, the UK gets 0. We expected that. Germany gets 0. We thought, fair enough. Spain gets 0. We're like, come on, surely isn't someone going to get a point here? The Netherlands gets 0. And we're like, I mean,
I don't think it was a surprise.
Well, the question is, I'm opening it up. Andy and Stuart, we'll go to Andy first. What is your take on it?
Well, in terms of the UK and our inability to get anywhere in the contest, it just comes down to money. Because all the things that everybody's been saying are true, but the BBC know all these things. They know how to win, but it costs money, and they won't spend the money. So they can't get a proper professional singer. So they use a songwriter who fancies having a go on the big stage and does it for buttons. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That doesn't answer why Holland didn't do very well last night. And somebody pointed out that all of the acts that were people of colour ended up down the bottom of the scoreboard. Whether that was coincidence or not, I wouldn't like to say, but I did think he would do better than fourth from the bottom.
Okay, and Stu?
It's a bit of a conundrum for the UK, really, because I don't believe for a second that the BBC aren't trying. I think they are trying. I think they've tried lots of different models over the last few years. The problem we've got in the UK as a UK fan and a UK citizen is that Eurovision is not cool. It's not something anyone wants to touch. Artists don't want to do it. Songwriters don't want to be a part of it. So bad in the UK, or perceived to be so bad, the songwriters go off and write songs in other countries. They don't want to be associated with representing the UK, which is bizarre, but it's a reality. And so when the BBC comes to select an artist, they are ultimately struggling to find someone that's A, willing to do it, and B, a songwriter that's willing to put forward a credible song. This is why we end up with beige. And as we know, beige in Eurovision equals bottom 5. And that's all it is. There's no secret to it. The BBC have got to find a way through BMG, which unfortunately first year it's as bad as it gets. They've got to find a way that an artist is willing to do it, willing to put up a really credible song that would chart in most countries, and it will do fine. It will go top. It will go left side of the scoreboard on a Saturday night. It's that simple. The problem we have is no one will do it, and so we are stuck in a very difficult position. The issue I see, though, Tom, is that the longer Eurovision goes with a scoreboard that encourages nil point, and I have real issues with how the scoreboard's set up, because to have two countries that are your biggest financial beneficiaries, investors in Eurovision, to be embarrassed repeatedly year on year is not sustainable. Eventually, those countries will say, not doing it anymore. We'll find a way to just show the contest on a Saturday night, but we will refuse to participate. That's, for me, that is a concern, because that affects Eurovision in a very big way, not just the UK, Spain and France and Germany. France, not so much last night. But it's a problem that the EBU desperately need to sort out.
And that brings it to it, isn't it? Is the voting system unsustainable? And I'm going to go to Gustav on this, and I'm going to put it to Gustav. I mean, people have suggested various ways of correcting the voting system. I would say perhaps one way of reducing the idea of nul point is to simply have less countries in the grand final. And there was only 39 countries in it this year. Could we not have only thrown 9 countries into the final and taken out the 10th place and had only 24 countries in there, and then shared the votes around more? Or is that just not a viable solution? Gustav, what are you thinking?
I have no idea why you're coming to me with this hard-ass questions.
Because you looked too relaxed, that's why.
Oh, yeah. I should never look relaxed. I have no idea. I really don't. I think something has to change, but I don't know what, and I don't know how. But after yesterday, it's obvious that something needs to change.
And I think when you have a given place in the final, you don't step up as much as you have to, because this Eurovision was amazing, and you have to do better. And just like if you're giving a place in the final, and I think it's more benefits if you actually do a semi-final, because then more people can hear your song and get used to it. Because hearing it once, if it's not catchy, it's 0 points.
It's very, very interesting. Alina, let's get your thoughts on this.
Actually, the same with Jeanette on the semi-final topic. Like, if there are, sorry to say, bad songs in the Eurovision final and it didn't do a semi, yeah, maybe they wouldn't be in the final in the first place. Like maybe other countries deserve then to be in the final that actually would get points. So it's really a hard one because I actually like the voting system, how it's now, because I think it's kind of exciting. There's a lot changing every second and it keeps you on your toes. But yeah, maybe some better quality songs, I don't know, participate in a semi. It could go all the ways.
Okay, and
Yes,
Marius.
at least you have, even if you can't participate in the semi-final as the big five, you should be allowed to see your act for 3 minutes, not just that little 30 seconds, because I think it's a big disadvantage to be in the big five, a big disadvantage. But I also like the scoring board. It's so exciting. I love it, but it's harsh, I know.
Marius, I want to go to Marius because I've seen Marius nodding away there. We've not gone to Marius yet. Marius, what's your take on all of this?
I think they should get rid of the juries. No. Hi, guys. The system, I mean, the excitement is there. Like we saw last night, we didn't know the winner until the last minute. The adrenaline is so great. And there are some aspects of this that the EBU needs to look into, I think, because as you said, maybe pick 9 songs from the semis. Actually, I had a crazy idea the other day. I was actually thinking that maybe they should introduce wildcards too, like after the 2 semis, they should choose 1 song from each semi and put them in the final, but that would make 27 or 28 songs. So, but I think the voting system creates this excitement. Some people have said to me today that they should get rid of the juries, just do televoting, or because let's face it, that the juries and the televote sometimes don't agree. But we have seen songs last night that on average got the same points. And we've seen this a lot last night, I think.
I think
but that's the exciting part, that we have a jury and a televote. That's make it
I want it.
so interesting.
Yeah, I want
it.
it.
So really boring to just have jury or televotes.
True.
The mix is
True.
perfect.
True.
Stu, you wanted to come in on this.
Yeah, so it's not like the UK aren't trying, though, guys. There's it's not just the UK, Spain, and Germany continually have the same problem. This is not a one-off. You know, they're continually bottom 5. So there's a recurring problem that Eurovision have to sort out. It's not our problem to fix. I've got a clue how to sort it out. But what I would say is a way of doing it is just change the point system altogether, move to the point system that Junior Eurovision has employed. And in my opinion, that enables us to have a fairer scoring system, because there's plenty of Brits all over Europe that can vote for us then. Just saying, and just kidding. but seriously, there is a way of making this work. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? What kind of system do you have? It's never going to please everyone. But the issue is with the nil pointer based on the televote split that's becoming a problem. So I think they do have to look at it. You can't have your financial backers being embarrassed on live telly every bloody year. Doesn't work. It's unsustainable.
But they have to do better. That's all I'm saying. If you don't want to get embarrassed, do better. It's like going to school. If you want
both of those things are true at the same time. We do have to do better, but at the same time, if you keep embarrassing the big, I think there's a real danger that the BBC will withdraw now. I think there'll be an awful lot of pressure in this country for them to do so, and pressure from the government. And the BBC is under such threat from the government at the moment that if the government said withdraw from Eurovision, they would do it.
Yes,
but
that's our internal problem. That's not the fault of Eurovision in any
But Andy,
any way.
I don't think it's a UK problem. I think Spain and Germany and sometimes France as well. Not so much Italy, but those 4 countries have a recurring theme of being bottom 5, and it interchanges. If you look at the scores in 2019 and 2021, Germany finished in 2019 on 0 points, the UK on 3 points. What happened in 2021? Same deal, reversed. It's a recurring theme, these sorting.
In terms of what's wrong with the scoring system, it's designed for 20 songs in a final, not 26. But there's no reason for the televote to still be done on the 1 to 12 basis. It could just be a proportion of the total televote that's given to each country, and then that would avoid 0 point from the televote. Could be done very easily.
I know I'm kind of guiding you through it, but I'm going to give my thoughts anyway. I think there are many problems here. I think basically every system we've got is a compromise. They've tried to make it inclusive so as many countries can participate as possible. They've tried to protect the interests of the countries that put the most money in and things like that. But then I think what you've almost found yourself locked into is the fact that people are then resistant to change. So, Andy, you've quite rightly said at the moment, the voting system only supports, really 20, maybe, 22, 23 countries realistically, because otherwise you start getting issues like this. At the same time, people still love, Douze Pois synonymous with Eurovision and things like that. On the other hand, you've also got the fact that the moment you then talk about, reducing the number of countries, therefore, to make it work, and say only having 24 countries in the final or 23 countries in the final, it then becomes another issue because countries are like, well, that's not fair because basically we should, have as many countries as we possibly can in the final. And it's going to be a very, very tough nut to crack. Interestingly, and I'm going to bring this up with the panel, if we had the 2015 system in place, Italy would still have won by 1 point. It would have been perhaps the most exciting voting in years with that, but would also probably have thrown up a very similar situation, and people would still be having the conversations about the televoting, because obviously at the bottom, instead of having one country with 0 point, they'd be in good company with 4 countries all on 0 point. But then is that just a reflection of the fact that this year, in particular, more than any other, we had a very, very, very strong set of songs, and I think the strongest set of songs. I mean, consistently, normally there's like a toilet break song, and really, I didn't necessarily think there was this year.
Song 9. Anyway,
if you have a good song, you will get votes, and then you will get points. That's all I'm saying.
Guys, I think we should move this on, and it brings us nicely into the next point to tackle this evening. It's around reform of running order in Eurovision. Now, look, for the last X amount of years, the TV producers of Eurovision have been dictating which songs start where. And last night we saw one of the favourites of Eurovision, Malta, deliver a 3rd place with the jury and yet a 14th place with the televote, and that was on the basis of starting at a very low position in the final. I'm coming to Elliot first. Elliot, do you think we're in a position now where with 26 songs we've got to kill all this, let the TV companies choose where people are starting, go back to randomly pick balls out of a hat?
No, because then we have a 2008 problem. We have all the contenders done by song 9, and it's a very slow hour and a half to the finish. It's a TV show first and foremost, so you need dips. You need a song like Belgium to slow things down, then to pick it back up again, and then drop, and then things like that. Sorry, Lena, it's one of the only ballads in the contest I had to use that as an example. But you get what I mean, like that contrast between Ukraine and France last night was incredible, and we need moments like that. I think the jury, no, not the jury. I think the producers clearly don't see the results beforehand, and I think they should have a right to see the results to help influence their decision. Because I think if they saw that Malta won the semi-final and did very well in the televote, she would have been closer to song 9 or 10 instead of song 6. Granted, that said, I don't think it really hampered her, because Malta is synonymously known for getting a small televote compared to their jury score. We've seen it every single year. 80% of their points come from the jury. So when it came to Destiny last night and seeing the big numbers really come in, I knew she wasn't going to win. I knew she was going to get a low score. I knew it was going to hurt. But it is what it is. I like the fact that producers have control of it. If anything, I say give them more control and let the EB release them the results to one or two people so it doesn't get leaked. And so they can just put together a slightly better running order. Because, yeah, I do think if the producers knew that Malta had won the semi-final, they would have been going at song 9 and not song 6. But I don't think we should do it randomized because then, like I said, you get some terrible openers, some terrible middle sections, and the best part about Eurovision in the final is the flow. It goes so quick because it goes like this, and that's what we need to keep.
Thanks, Elliot. I'm going to put this to our TV producers, Ian and Donna. I'm going to bring you in. But is it fair? Is it fair that a TV company should be deciding where an artist who has been working their entire life for this 3 minutes of fame, but have it potentially hampered by a really terrible placing? You know, another example of Cyprus, one of the original favourites to win Eurovision, it dropped a bit, went from 6th in semi-final 1 to 16th in the final.
Yeah, to be honest, I think as fans we tend to overanalyze how much the positions make a difference to the viewing public. We do tend to kind of overthink it a bit. I think as Elliot said, it either has to be completely random. It has to be completely the producer's choice. And as Elliot said, it's a TV show. It is an entertainment show. It's primetime telly. It's to entertain people. Yes, it is a big music competition, but it is TV. I don't know if there's an easy answer, but I would stick with the producer choice. It has to work as a show. And if by chance you ended up with all the ballads stacked together and all the bangers stacked together, they cancel each other out. You need the light and shade through the show. Otherwise, by the time you've had 3 big bangers back to back, the third one's had it. They've got no chance because they've been lost in the noise. But I do think we slightly analyze it all.
Yeah, I mean, there's the simple practicalities as well of being backstage with the technicians getting stuff on and off. I mean, we saw in the semi-finals, those with the larger, more awkward sets, like Leslie Roy, had to have extra ad break time, filler time, because they had to get the stuff on and off. So some songs will automatically end up maybe not in the best position for them song-wise, but because practically they've bought something that may be too ridiculous for the technicians to actually get on and off in 45 seconds, which is not a lot of time. It can be sometimes with some of the stuff we've done, but in that scheme of things, and it's also getting it from the wing space or wherever those sets are being stored to get them on stage. So yeah, it's great if you've actually got, like we saw with Daddy not being able to perform this time, actually in the arena, it gave the 2 songs either side of it a chance to get like Blassie's Big Moon into place and things like that. So yeah, there are pros and cons. It doesn't always work in song favour, but it can work for practical sense of production. So it's a bit of give and take on either side.
Thanks, guys. But guys, is it fair? I mean, go back a few years ago, this wasn't even an issue. We didn't let the TV producers choose where the song was gonna perform. We drew it out of hats. Kind of good stuff for this. Good stuff. Does it make a massive difference? Is it affecting the potential winner at Eurovision?
If the song is good enough, it should be able to start at whatever position and then win. And that's just the way it is. And I can get a little bit annoyed by this conversation because sure, it's not fair, but it's also, as everyone before me had said, it's also a TV production, and it's not fair to the viewers to have all the ballads and then all the bangers and not have the flow that a TV production should have. And what is most important for Eurovision to have? I mean, both are important, but what is Eurovision without having the viewers? Because I'm sure if we go back, it will lose viewers because it just gets too boring. And I mean, it's really a problem that we can't solve wherever we go because it will be problematic from all sides.
Thanks, good stuff. Phil, Michelle, is it too bloody long a show? 26 songs, by the time you get to 26, can you even remember Cyprus that started the show?
Yes. Yeah, you can. Yeah. And plus, if you're doing it properly, you've got your little scorecard anyway, so you know what's going on. You're not going to lose track of anything. It's your own fault if you don't fill the scorecard in. But I think if it goes on, you forgot what song number 1 is, then song number 1 would never win. Or, well, song number 2 hasn't won, but then it'd be like anywhere between song 1 and 13 would never win, which doesn't happen. So that doesn't make sense. Plus, the country that hosts Eurovision pays a lot of money to sort Eurovision out. So they're not just going to go, I'm paying X amount of money to put on this massive show and you just draw it out of a hat. They're going to make the best possible TV show that they can, because they make their money from revenue from the show. So they need it to be the best show that they can. If it's dull and boring, nobody will watch it.
I think as well, the televoters are probably only going to vote for 1, maybe 2 songs if they're really enthusiastic. And if you see a song and you think that song is fantastic, you're not going to forget it no matter where it is in the show. Because that is the song you're going to vote for, and you'll remember it, and you will vote for it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's right that they should present it in an order that makes it enjoyable viewing. Because I thought it was a fantastic show. All the songs seemed great, even the ones that I weren't keen on.
And it wasn't too long. It just absolutely flew by.
There wasn't any section where you think, oh God, this is dragging now.
Yeah.
Because of the way the songs were ordered.
We struggled finding time to get the gin in due to the lack of rubbish songs and how quickly they were going through everything. I got halfway out of the door and then they went, here's Ukraine. I was like, oh shit, I better go back quick and watch it. So I think they did an absolutely cracking job.
Yeah. And I say with the voting, we were on the edge of our seats with the voting.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, Yeah.
It may have been brutal, and you may think it's unfair for the artists, but it was fantastic telly.
Thanks, guys. Finally, Andy, just on this topic, is there any other options for the running order? Is there anything else?
I have the solution. And the solution is to let the delegations choose their own starting position. So when you've got all your 26 finalists, the first one out of the hat, drawn at random, say it's the UK. The UK says, right, well, I'll start at position 17. The next one out of the hat is Spain, and they go, I don't want to be next to the UK, I'll go 14. And they would sort of work themselves out in a random way so that the ballads wouldn't be next to each other, but there would still be an element of chance about it.
Thank you, Andy. There's some interesting thoughts there. I think we should talk.
Brilliant idea.
It's an idea. Thank you for sharing.
I liked your idea, Andy. There we go.
I'm not agreeing to anything. I'm
Who
just
would pick number 2?
Well, probably the last one out of the hat. That's the point.
Well,
isn't it? The random nature of it would work together with the sense of not putting yourself next to a similar song.
But it's still a problem when you're producing the show.
There's no perfect solution to anything, is there?
No, it's not going to be that easy, but it doesn't help to just pick.
It comes down to the age-old conundrum, doesn't it? Is it a television show or is it a song contest? There we go.
Or they could pay for the starting orders. What about that?
There lies the point, Tom. Is it a song contest or is it a TV show? We're going to move on. Surprises of the night. Marius, loads of surprises. It was the night of surprises. We've already done to death the fact that 4 poor buggers got nil point in the televote. It was Sweden's worst placing since 2013. Finland's best placing since 2006. Can you believe? And we're even perhaps touch on Moldova getting all those jury 12s that, perhaps we can talk about another time. Anyway, Marius, what was the surprise of the night for you?
There wasn't just one. I think the surprise of the night for me is that I tried to vote for a country and I put the wrong number in and I voted 10 times for the wrong country. There you go. I confessed online that I've done that.
Who did you vote for?
What I was going for Norway, and instead I think I voted for the Netherlands.
Didn't make
And
a
they still
difference.
got 0 points. So they go exactly. Shockers. I mean, I did expect Azerbaijan to do much better than, that was a big shock for me. It was a bigger shock than Cyprus for me because really kind of digested Cyprus might not on
Marius, I'm afraid we've lost your audio.
because Moldova I heard to get so many.
Yeah, we've lost Marius's audio. Coming to Alina for the same question. For you, what was the shock of the night?
Oh, Janet, you're gonna be happy. Not seeing Eric Sade. No, there were so many shocks of tonight. I can't choose. There were so many. I mean, pants being ripped while performing your winning act. I can't choose. There's just so many. Like the biggest surprise, the best moment for me is still Yaya Ding Dong. It's so hard. So hard.
Thanks, Alina. Let's go to Jeanette. Jeanette, what went wrong for Sweden last night?
It wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. It was, as we would say in Swedish, mellanmjölk. And Gustav knows what that means. It's just like mainstream, plain average. No one's going to notice you. Like, okay, I'm standing here watching my bus come by. Or, yeah, it didn't give us any attention at all. He did his best performance. So I'm happy about that. I wasn't expecting anything better than 10th place. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't strong enough. People didn't vote for us. That's it. We should have sent Eric Sade.
Well, hindsight and all that. But Melfest is such a massive show. And so's Melody Grand Prix. And it's just quite a surprise to see both Norway and Sweden, who are usually at the other side of the board, did so badly last night. Gustav, was it a surprise to you to see Sweden and Norway do as badly as they did?
Actually not. I have been saying for a few weeks now that the Swedish song is not good enough, and I like being right. I was more shocked by Norway. I thought that they would get more votes from the public, and now I have forgotten your question.
But the strange thing was that the Scandinavian countries didn't even vote for each other, which usually happens.
Because there were better songs. Because there were better songs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think before we move on from this, I think we've got to touch on San Marino. So San Marino really went for it this year. Senate with Adrenalina. And it was expected to do so well. And even get poor old Flowrider on a plane, fly him over for semi-final 2. And all of a sudden, they get 13 televote points. Looking at you, Elliot, because you got that bloody smug on your face, smug look about your face. Now's your time. You got a 10-second monologue on why this went the way it did.
Because it's a soulless filler song. Sen has gone from the freaky queen to the filler queen. You can chuck all the money at the world you want at a song. If the staging is not right and the vocals aren't right and it feels artificial, it's not going to do well. And the other point is that it's the top 9 in the televote were all wrote by the artists themselves. People can see through it now. People can see through calculated stuff. And Flowrider sounded dreadful.
Thank you, Elliot. Tom, how's the chat room getting on?
The chat room is alive and well. Oh my God, there are so many comments. I'm just catching up with loads of them. And do you know what? The nice thing is that everyone can claim to have been right. I mean, we've got, what have we got here? It was not a surprise at all. Both Sweden and Norway were not good this year. But then someone's also said, surprise, San Marino gets 13 points. Everyone's just having a really chat around. We've got Senate was robbed. We've got San Marino's low public score. Everyone's got an opinion, and isn't that what it should be like? My personal take on it. What are my shocks of the night? Do you know what? it was always going to be a wide open contest. And I think I resigned myself in the nicest possible way that there wasn't, by expecting surprise, you're not going to get surprised, if that makes sense. So in actual fact, there was no real shock for me on that scoreboard last night. The only thing I would say is that, you know, I did those stats on Friday night, Stu, and I think I got most of them pretty spot on with my predictions. Just saying.
Well, you did say the UK would come last.
I thank you. There we go.
Oh, you should never bet against your own country, Tom.
No,
And
we'd never
0
do.
points.
We would never do that, Stu, would we?
No, definitely not. Anyway, over to you.
So, guys, let's move the discussion on and talk about our top three. Jury versus televote winner. Obviously, we know that Switzerland came on top with the juries. Italy won the televote, but also 4 out of the 5 top 5 songs weren't in English. So the first question is, you know, is English that important when it comes to Eurovision anymore? And let's go straight over to Andy.
I'd like to answer in a language that isn't English, but I've had a drink, so I'm not going to try that. Happily, I think that's correct. I was delighted that so many of the songs that were not in English got through to the final. Shame about Denmark not making it. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I would like to have seen it in the final because it was in Danish, and that's a rare thing. But to see them doing so well, hopefully that might carry on for future years, but might not. Next year they might all be in English again.
It's true. They could be all in English, or, and let's go across. Who should we pick? Let's go to Phil and Michelle. Or could we see a resurgence in the French language, because 2 of our top 5 this year were actually in French?
I like it when they sing in any sort of language, any different language. It's brilliant. But the BBC used to, if you put subtitles on, used to translate them for you, and it was brilliant. But they stopped doing it now the last few years, which is disappointing. But I think if they sing in their own language, I don't know, it's sort of universal now. You go on how it sounds, not what the words are for some reason.
I think as well, it might not be so much as the language thing, but it's people singing songs that they've written as opposed to ones that have been written by a writing camp, because writing camps are always going to turn out something in English. And I think this year we've seen the writing camps take a hammering, and people seem to like songs that are sung by an act that's obviously well invested in the song because it's their own song. It's not something that's been given to them.
It means something more to them because they've written it. They're not just standing there singing a song. They're doing it right.
And the public especially seem to latch onto that. I mean, my biggest surprise was a pleasant surprise that the Ukraine came second in the public vote, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but Denmark didn't quali, which made me sad.
Yeah, but Schlager's dead as well. Sorry, Tom. I like it as well. But Schlager's dead in Eurovision now, I think.
I need to have divorce talks.
If I wasn't hungover, Phil, I'd have to pour myself a very stiff drink, but I don't think that's the right way to deal with comments like that this evening. Let's go to Elliot on this. I mean, we saw arguably the right result because the televote was supreme. It wasn't a case of, and let's face it, it was a close run thing with 26 votes in it. It could have been the bridesmaid taking the bouquet from the bride, if you pardon the analogy, in that France came second in the jury vote. It's come second overall, 26 extra votes on that televote, and everything could have been very different. Is that kind of like the way it should be? Should we make sure and ensure that the televote winner can always be supreme? Norway won the televote in 2019, but they certainly didn't actually end up taking the contest to Oslo.
No, and this is why I always like the fact that you have a jury, because it stops people going down this let's be kitsch and fun, because it gets people's attention, because then we go backwards. That's the problem. And Ukraine won and they came second in both. Duncan didn't win either camp, but it was arguably the best song. And that's why you've got this half and half split of it all, because it makes it fairer, because the jury and the public cannot agree, but when you put them together and that's the overall winner, so be it. As for the languages thing, yeah, I don't think the language matters anymore. We've seen Salvador win. We've now seen Italy win. We've seen Goa do incredibly. We saw Barbara do amazingly. It, at the end of the day, comes down to the song and the mood that you create on that stage in 3 minutes. That's ultimately what it comes down to now, and that's the way it should be. And yeah, but ultimately, no, the televote winner shouldn't out and outright be the winner. Otherwise, like I said, it could be a very different contest, and we could have some very different results, and I'm not sure if it'd be for better or for worse if Kano win over Duncan, for example. I'm not sure if that would have done the contest looking forward much justice, because then we've had a lot of Schlager based with a hint of camp sort of things thrown in and kitsch, because Spirit and Sky's main selling point was people taking the piss out of Fred's yoiking, especially in the UK.
Although that arguably says more about how the UK views the contest, full stop, I think, than anything else.
I mean, yes, but but I just think we would have gone backwards to 2009 if Kano won that year, because that song did sound like it was picked out of the 2009 era of Eurovision.
Let's go to Alina, because I know you've got some comments as well on the whole language situation as well.
For me, the main thing about language is France did now a huge, amazing job, and it was so beautiful, so emotional, and that song just was right in French. But a Bilal, who was a couple years ago, if that song was in total French, no one should have voted for him the way they did. Some songs just are right in their full language. Other songs need that English part or need to be in English, even though it's France or it's a country who is always singing in their own language. Some songs don't work that way, and I think that also is a beautiful thing we need to respect in Eurovision. I always like the French songs if they're combined in French and in English. And this year I was fuck it, this is amazing, to Barbara. So yeah, that's my point.
Hey, let's go to Marios on this. Do you think the televote was a reflection of public mood, shall we say? And it's just coming up on a point that, in actual fact, our lovely Joe made in one of our conversations this morning when we were dissecting the results. In that, we'll leave Italy to one side for a moment, but Ukraine and Finland in particular were not necessarily angry songs, but kind of almost like songs that kind of had a bit more raw emotion in, shall we say, and even France to some extent. Is that a reflection of how we're all feeling at the moment? Is that televote more of a cultural representation of how we've kind of come out of this pandemic?
Well, obviously the pandemic has affected everybody psychologically, but I don't think that it reflected on that. I just think with the case of the top positions, for example, Finland got high points from the televote, and although I wasn't a huge fan of the song, I respect and appreciate what happened. I think people went on board with it. They loved the show, and it was just amazing to see them get a good position. Ukraine, I mean, it was like Marmite, but how couldn't you love that? I mean, seriously, when it finished last night, I just wanted to watch it again. So I think people went on board with that immediately, and I knew that it was going to do really well, although the juries didn't have love for it that much. But I think that the televoters made the right decisions last night. We had a few, casualties, but if we're talking about the top 4, top 5, I think that they got it right, of course. And as far as the language is concerned, I think, people should sing in their own language. They should have the right to do that. And before I finish, my tribute and my love again to Denmark. They will always be my guilty pleasure.
Oh, and you're still weaning yourself off the 20-day listen to Denmark.
Yeah.
Stu, let's go back to you.
So Italy have won. Måneskin have won Eurovision 2021. Third time for Italy. And let's face it, it was coming, wasn't it? Every country that wins Eurovision these days tends to have momentum building up to a win. Maybe Soldi could have won just a few years ago, but Måneskin have done it. Is this the greatest Eurovision winner ever? Elena, coming to you.
Did not expect that. Yes, I mean, I was watching it with my friend, and Italy came on and they did their thing, and I was like, this is the winner. And the contest wasn't even over yet, and it was so clear they were going to win, and it was so amazing. And I also just needed to say this one. I also love the fact that Eurovision goes from a Duncan or a Salvador Sobral, is that his name? I don't know anymore. I'm too tired now. Song to like a Måneskin song or like a Netta song. Like the switching of the music taste are so amazing, and that's why we love Eurovision.
Correct. Andy, you've been known to blurt out a few Italian tunes in your time. You can go and catch them, by the way, if you want to. Don't have to, but if you'd like to listen to some Italian tunes, then especially Italian Eurovision tunes, then Andy's YouTube channel is where you will find them, and you'll find some very, very good ones, especially Andy dressed as a gorilla. Andy, Italy were due a win, maybe should have won a few years prior, maybe should have won a few years prior to that. This is their time, and this is a very contemporary winner, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on it? Did they 100% deserve their victory? And could this now see the turning of the tide for Italian music in Eurovision, as in continual victories, back-to-back victories, or being in the top 2 or 3 for years to come?
That's a hard one, isn't it? Because we don't know what they're going to bring next year, and we don't know what they're going to do with the contest next year. That's the thing I'm really looking forward to seeing how they present it. I'm hoping for something completely different. I thought this year's contest was possibly the best ever. I don't think it's the best ever winner. I think it did deserve its win in a very, very, very strong field. But I think the performance was better than the actual song. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing where Italy takes the contest. Could they bring the orchestra in? It'd be great if they did. If ever there was a chance for an orchestra to come back, it would be next year.
Going to go to Ian and Donna. Ian and Donna, by the way, watch the Sanremo show along with Andy, and we're panelists on our reviews this year, but actually have been watching San Marino for years. I nearly said San Marino, didn't I? San Remo. Is this now the best national final competition? I know it's not actually a national final, and they've just used it for Eurovision. But is it, or should it be considered the most successful, the best national final type Eurovision selection process, whatever you want to call it, for Eurovision?
In that respect, I would say not necessarily, because as we've seen this year, MGP was fabulous. The standard of contestants and the way it was presented actually worked so well. So I couldn't actually argue that Sanremo should be like the gold standard. But it's certainly what Eurovision was based on historically. So the fact it's still there and presenting well to the audience of Italians, that it's so enthralled in music. This is their main contest as its own thing. We suffer in a way because we've got X Factor, we've got so many other contests that produce good quality music, that this is their main one. So it covers all sorts of standards in that one, and you're always going to get high quality songs and established artists that the public know, as well as some up and coming ones. So there's all sorts of things in there that Sanremo is absolutely fantastic for, as well as producing a high quality Eurovision winner, it seems, these days as well. Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, it's that mix of Sanremo is its own thing. It just happens to be the song gets the option to go to Eurovision. They don't have to go. You can win Sanremo and not go. You can also win Sanremo and not get chosen to go, as has happened. But that's one of its unique thing. Everybody else does a selection show. MGP is fantastic. It was brilliant this year. Melfest is always fantastic. But these are targeted to get a song for Eurovision. So everything that's entered into them, it's eyes on the prize for Eurovision. Sanremo, not necessarily. You enter to win or just be appreciated at Sanremo, which is why artists come back year on year. And established artists, the age range is huge. You've got up-and-coming bands like Måneskin, who are in their early 20s, to much older, more established acts. And that's the brilliant thing about Sanremo. It's this variety of it. Again, what we've been talking about bands doing their own thing. This is Måneskin's song. They've just put out their first full album, and it's brilliant. It's full of songs like that. This is absolutely their style, their song, and that is why it works. And of course, they hit the stage at 100 miles an hour with an absolutely stunning live performance.
Yeah. And in that respect too, they stripped everything back and gave us a classic rock performance.
Yeah.
There was no bells and whistles really needed, and they only used a little bit of visual amplification, let's say, to make that work. They sold it by their personality and their performance. So
yeah, we can't wait to see them live.
Yes.
And what that, of course, means, what that means is we're off to Italy in 2022. Can it be, at the moment, they're talking about potentially 5 venues. There'll probably be others by the time this show finishes. Bologna, the Unipol Bologna Stadium, which hosts up to 20,000. We think roughly you have to kind of take 60% of the total capacity for Eurovision. The Adriatic Arena in Pesaro, that hosts 13,000. The Palasport di Genoa is 15,000. There's a big stadium in Sarago. There's the Pala Alpitor in Turin, which probably is the most likely venue. That's 15 to 16,000. So there's a number of. So the point I'm going with this, guys, please don't book flights. Please don't book hotels, because you're wasting your time, because it could be any of these venues, probably Turin, but you didn't hear me say that. What a wonderful Eurovision season. And to finish it off, I want to go to my panel and I want to ask each of my panel members their most fantastic moment of Eurovision 2021. Coming to Andy first. Sorry, Andy, you're in my eye line, so I'm coming to you first.
I would say Måneskin winning Sanremo.
And you staying up till what, 5, 6 a.m.?
Yeah. I can remember every minute of it.
I can too. Yeah, I had to watch it back. And stay tuned, guys. We've got something very special which may contain something around that very shortly. Jeanette, what is your most memorable moment of Eurovision 2021?
I think watching the whole final was the biggest moment of it all, of course, because it was the best Eurovision I've ever seen. And I've seen many, many, many of them, as all of you. And it was just like great from the beginning to the end, and it couldn't get more exciting than it was. So the whole Eurovision final was fantastic.
Incredible. Yes, it was. Marius, I imagine you're going to tell me about Denmark.
Well, actually, no. There's a couple of things. Going through Melody Grand Prix, that was an exceptional experience for me, because we had some really good songs. And congratulations to Norway for giving us such a great national selection this year. And just a thing about Italy, when you listen to a song and it grabs you at a certain moment, guys, did you, like last night, when those sliding doors opened and you saw Damiano just doing that thing, that just got me immediately. And I thought, yeah, this is it. And also another great moment, joining you guys, because I'm one of the newbies, and thank you.
It's been our pleasure. It's our pleasure to have every one of our panel. I think we lost count. We've got 30, 40 of you from around the world. So thank you for being a part of it. Not to mention our viewers, of course, will come to you shortly. Gustav, what is your most memorable moment?
How am I supposed to only choose one? I mean, bickering and bantering with Elliot is always fun. But I have to say that I got a new song in my life that means like the world to me, and that is Behöver inte dig idag. So that's probably the most special moment for me.
Yeah, what a fantastic song. We won't do that now, but I wonder how that might have compared to Tussa at Eurovision this year. Guess we'll never know. Elliot.
Like I said, how can you pick just one? But I've got to, because I'm breaking the rules. I'm just doing what Donna does and just going, I'm having to, sod it. Having Kate do a live orchestral version of Shum live on our interview, that was incredible. Having her just play the guitar and doing the verse of that was incredible. And speaking to Destiny, you know, this is a girl I followed for 5.5 years. I watched her on X Factor, seen her become the woman she's today, and able to be able to sit down with Gustav and talk to her was incredible, in a moment I'll never forget, because she's an amazing woman and deserves the world. So that's what really stood out for me.
Thank you, Elliot. And just one question before I say goodbye to you, Elliot. Do you like Shum? Inside joke. Alina, same question to you.
Actually, my answer is a little bit personal because some of you know that my boyfriend had an internship with like camera work, and he was actually at the filming of Hooverphonic, his Plan B video, and I knew he was there, but he couldn't tell me anything until Eurovision, and that was such a torture for me, knowing he knew it all and couldn't tell it to me. That was terrible, but I still love him, but it was terrible. And of course, being here on the show with all of you guys, you're such a family. Like, I love you all. And the moments with Jeanette about Eric Sade, girl, I'm never gonna forget him. And like always going crazy with Kino, and yeah, just love you all.
Yeah, poor old Eric Sade. He's taking out an injunction as we speak. Ian and Donna, what is your most memorable moment?
Actually, it's similar to Andy's. It's watching Sanremo, and we knew Maneskin before, seen some of their stuff, didn't know what they were going to bring, but we knew it was going to be interesting. And that moment when they came out and that guitar riff let fly, it was like, this is brilliant. This is my winner. It was instantly, this is my winner for Sanremo. But yeah, that moment, it was like, oh fuck, this is going to be good.
For me, there were so many, and it's, as always, hard to choose, but I'd say it was a more personal thing, being able to actually get accreditation for you guys this year, and then getting the opportunity to do an interview with Portugal. That was fabulous. Yeah, so many, but they've definitely been highlights for me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It really is a pleasure doing it with all of you, by the way. This is not a chore. This is a real pleasure. Phil and Michelle, the Queen and King, or King and Queen even, of Eurovision. I feel very sad. In fact, there was a tear coming down my eye now. This is the last time you're going to wear that tiara for at least 3 months.
No, it won't be.
You don't get to change, Stuart, that's all it is.
And I only wear my tiara.
Favourite moment?
It's got to be Red Ellen Tartu at East Lowell, surely. Everyone remembers.
No.
Is that not everybody's favourite?
Still trying
Go
to.
on, I'm going to agree with the rest of the Sanremo crowd. Watching Maneskin win, and also predicting that they would win Eurovision on the show afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great.
Yeah, go and look at that show from when we did it at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe slightly worse for where Phil predicted that we were all going to Italy.
And that's the first time ever I've got anything right with regard to Eurovision.
No, ever, not just Eurovision, ever.
Thank you, guys. And finally, my co-host, which I'm very sad to say goodbye to you this evening. It's going to be a little while. We're going to have a little holiday. Guys, if you don't already know, after tonight's show, we're going to take a 3-4 month hiatus. We're going to do other things. And then ESC Fan TV will be back after the summer is out for more of this. But Tom, what is your favourite moment?
Do you know what, Stu? I'm gonna steal 2 moments on this. First of all, let's just have a massive shout out to just like doing this. This is like my favourite moment of the week, and coming to talk about Eurovision. And I say favourite moment of the week, sometimes actually it's multiple moments, isn't it? I mean, we've had weeks where we've done 2 shows, 3 shows, 4 shows, and so on. And also, I'm going to give out another special shout out. My favourite moment, I think, actually, of the contest, if we're going to talk about songs and things like that, is France's performance last night, because I got totally and utterly engrossed in Barbara Pravi's performance last night. And for me, I sat there and I watched it and I listened to it, and I was like, we've spent 2 years kind of talking about these songs and things like that. And that performance in particular just spoke to me and was just like, oh, the climax hasn't disappointed. Do you know what I mean? It's just been amazing.
Thanks, Tom. I better do mine, hadn't I? 2.5 years ago, I was sat in a pub in London with a very good friend of mine now, Tom, and we were about to go into a meeting of some kind. I won't say what. And we had this really crazy idea to talk on a YouTube channel, just test it out about Eurovision, talk crap for an hour. 2.5 years later, I'm privileged to work with 50 people, which I'm delighted to call my friends. I have a ball every time. This really is a pleasure to me. It's not a chore. We do maybe 3-4 shows a week sometimes. And I would never change it for the world. So that's my most favorite moment, is kind of doing this all the time. In terms of Eurovision, I think the Eurovision show itself last night was the best I've ever seen. And I congratulate all the artists, all the delegations for putting on an incredible show, and especially the Ahoy and the Dutch, because they must have been through absolute turmoil over the last 12, 18, 2 years. So, yeah, thank you, Eurovision World, for what you've done over the last 2 years. And thank you to our viewers and supporters for all the love and all the hate sometimes. We love reading everything you send. Love the likes, love the dislikes. Keep telling us what you think. We're going away for a little while, but it's an actual break this year. Last year, we didn't have a break, and I feel like this is the time to have one. But we're leaving you with something quite special. We do this thing every year where we kind of have a little highlights reel. But this year, we've got an Uber highlights reel, which we're going to play you out with. But before we do that, I want to say a massive thank you to my panel this evening. I want to say a huge thank you all the way from Cyprus, Marius.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure. See you after the summer.
Sounds good. Huge thank you to Gustav from Sweden.
Thank you, everyone. It's been such a blast doing this with all of you. And who knows, maybe I get bored sometimes during the summer and start a Clubhouse room. So you should join us on Clubhouse if you are there.
That's right. You can find an ESC Fan TV Clubhouse. Huge thank you to Elliot. Should we just let him talk on mute?
God fucking damn it. Thank you. Like, even moments like that have been an absolute pleasure and a laugh. And it's also a goodbye from this backdrop as well. If all goes well, I will be moving over the summer as well. So we shall see. And just remember, over the summer break, my taste is always right.
No.
I think the
at least my favourites qualify, Tom.
Huge thank you to Jeanette from Sweden.
Thank you, Stu. It's been a pleasure to join this Eurovision family. And it actually feels like we're family, every single one of you. And hopefully we can meet up somewhere in the summer if we're allowed to travel again. Love you all.
There's fingers crossed. Huge thank you to Ian and Donna.
Thank you. This journey's been brilliant this year. So, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great. And yes, hopefully we will get a chance to catch up at some point. It would be nice to see everybody and even some of our lovely fans. You never know.
Yeah. Let's do it all again next year.
Definitely. Thank you to Andy. And by the way, if you didn't already know, Andy wrote the theme tune to ESC Fan TV and is constantly supporting us with his musical ability. So thank you, Andy, for everything.
Thank you. I've got a little tear in my eye, and I am an old cynic. But I would just like to say thank you to everybody that comes in the chat room and supports us when we're doing the shows. And even 3 o'clock in the morning, there are people in the chat room, and it means so much, and it gives you a boost. So thank you especially to everybody in the chat room.
Who haven't I said goodbye to? Phil and Michelle, thank you so much as always.
That's all right. I reckon I've remembered a good 70% of the shows I've done this year, which is not bad.
No, it's been great. It's always great. It's always a good laugh. We have so much fun, and it's great meeting all of you. And as Andy says, the people in the chat, the people who leave comments on the videos as well. It's great. Really appreciate it. It's nice to know that people actually are paying attention. And
I can't believe people are watching. It's brilliant. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Elena from Belgium. And by the way, guys, go and give Elena a bit of love on Instagram. She runs our Instagram channel along with Gustav. So go and interact with the guys there.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And let me just say, like, I can't wait to meet you all and the viewers back home to like party together on all the pre-parties we're gonna have again. Oh, I can't wait to like have a great time with you all. See you there.
So that means it's just one left. That's you. Take yourself off mute, my friend.
I know. Oh, it's a bit sad, really.
That's all right. We're not leaving forever.
I know. We're not. Do you know what? It's but it's that whole post Eurovision depression that they talk about, isn't it? But do you know what? Oh, what a way to go out! It's just a massive high, and thank you to you as well.
Hey, I love it.
Great
Thank
show.
you, guys. We are done. Stay tuned. Something very fun coming up to see us out. One final goodbye from our panel. We will see you in a few months' time. Bye-bye and stay safe. We will see you after the summer.
Hi, we are Wei.
And you're watching ESC Fan TV.
Oh God, it's 10-3 in the Big Brother house. If you're in Europe, it's 10-2. And oh goodness me, it's been a very, very long night.
Joe, how are you, my love? She's on mute. That's how she is.
The first one of the year. Oh no.
Hello, everybody. So, to sum this up, Sunix, it was absolute crap.
I was on mute! I'm copying Tom from last year, aren't I?
It's because I know what a fan of Moreland you are, Joe.
It's, yeah, I don't, if there's ever a show where they qualify to go on to one of our best of shows, you know I'll always put Moreland and Deborah in.
What they do to Jedward, I think behind the scenes, they're all calm and serene. And somebody comes up going, would you like a sweetie? And they have a little sweetie, and they go, yay! And then they're jumping about, and they're going mad. It's just like wind them up and watch them go. There's no choreography.
No, it's just jumping up and down and waving the legs around.
It's I'm drunk and look at me, I'm the best dancer in the world.
And your final pick was Stig and Alina. Goodbye to yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why should
We've
people
done
know
that.
that? Have we done?
Can I just ask something? Who hasn't had alcohol tonight?
I'm too sober for this.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
I'm going nuts in my old age. I really am asked too. Wake me
Oh,
up.
do you need a little lie down, Tom?
Hello, I'm Elena. I love El Diablo. I love El Diablo. Thank you so much for my award. I love it. I do. I love it. Every day I love finding a new way to prove the time we spent together.
Let's go to Georgina.
It's got to be Daddy. It's like that group's it's Daddy and Gagan and Gand. Did I say it right?
Gagging on a daddy.
Yeah.
Is that what she said? Did she just say gagging on a daddy? Can we get that hashtag?
It gets worse and worse now.
Sorry, I tried to sound good, but it just messed up.
Hey, we're on. Oh, hello, ESC Fan TV.
Hello, ESC Fan TV.
We're allegedly the Roop.
Right, let's go to Gustav first. Alvingarar with Tenka Ina Arsa. What did you make of this one? Why are you laughing?
Go on, correct him on his pronunciation first, Gustav. Do it properly. Do it
I
properly.
thought I was done doing that, but okay. Tänker inte alls gå hem.
Tänker inte us. That's what I said. Steve, let's bring you in. Are you a fan of Tänker inte us?
I really like. I really like this song. I'm sorry.
One is not a fan of bad language, but what happened to Take It in the Arse? They got fucked, basically. Quite literally. I mean, just look at the result. Sorry.
Hello, my name's Jendrik. Thank you very much for my Schlagertastic award. I love it. And to all the other nominees, sorry.
Absolutely love the song, and everyone who disagrees, I will kick them off the panel. Don't know how, don't know if I can do that, but I will find a way.
I have a great 3 minutes.
Is that how long it takes? Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, yeah.
Brilliant.
Gustav looks horrified, and I couldn't be happier.
Unnecessarily kind comment about this terrible, awful song. There was nothing welcoming about the last 3 songs. There's nothing joyful about these 2. There's a murderous 9 minutes for get through those 3 songs.
Sure about the pink marigolds.
Oh, and those shoes. The pink with the purple was always a no-no in the 80s anyway. I mean, look at the shell suits, right? If you're old enough like me to remember it. Pink and purple, ugh, no.
Okay, it didn't go through because she looks like a scary Barbie doll. Like, I'm gonna have nightmares from her.
Nothing compared to this performance of Blasmafian on the night. Oh wait, sorry, that's Moldova from a few years ago.
And then Nicholas has chipped in with Morton's hat always gets 12 points. There we go.
The hat is very happy about that.
Hey, oh, I like that. It lights up as well. That's brilliant. Yeah. That's amazing. What did you make of the automatic finalists this evening?
So, I didn't actually watch it. I got totally distracted. I think because I was doing something else and I listened to it and I forgot to watch it, and it kind of ended and I still haven't seen it. But it sounded pretty good. Whoops. I should have told you that before we went on air, really. Yeah, it was great.
It's the common theme that the 80s are coming back, because we seem to have seen this across so many different national final songs this year.
I hope not, because I'm not having my hair permed again. I can't go through all this every 6 weeks. It's too much drama. I'm not willing to do that anymore.
Just toss a coin. It's quicker when you've got 2 left.
Oh, come on. It's fun. Look, it took me ages to put this through.
Thank you. And remember, you can't have a Mel Fest without Mel.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna lie.
Oh, God.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. And I suppose at this point, Stu, I need a video. Give me the clips. Give me the clips.